like a little, it looked like a little bubble.
Oh no.
So I told my husband, he's like, well, they usually heal themselves pretty well. And I was like, okay. So I just let it go. And then I pondered deep spiritual thoughts like, if, right, if we choose, is that a cardinal? I don't know if you can hear it, but like, because that's a forest back there.
Yeah.
We hear all these birds. It's so pretty. Um, but anyway, so I was like, okay, if we all come here, which I know, right? We all choose our path. We come here and then we choose how we're going to leave.
Yes.
And that was his way of choosing, right? Like if that's what he chose, am I now interfering with that by saving him? Do you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
mean, kind of the things that I think of, but then at the same time, what if like that wasn't,
But if he but if he
you know,
chose to go and you saved him, then he can do it again, right? Like
that's
there's I don't know, some things I guess like I had the courage to do it that time, but I don't have the courage to do it again. Like I don't know. Yeah, you know what is funny? I ponder the same things. I saved a bird once. I actually got to save a bird once from the cat, and I
hmm,
doctored it up, but it wouldn't stay warm. Like it wouldn't stay wrapped in the thing that I was wrapped around it. So I went to sleep and I got up and it had shaken itself free and then froze to death. And I got told that it didn't want me to kidnap it and be hostage for me like the rest of its life. And I was like, I was just gonna make you better, you dumbass.
yeah,
I'm like, but that was your choice. Like, okay, I went and buried it and cried and did my thing and whatever. But
yeah.
I'm a lot better about it now. The cat comes back. I just let her. If she's caught the bird's not the. It's a bird's time anyway. So I'm like, birds can fly away. My cat can't fly. So if she's catching birds, then that's on them.
I definitely do try like with the birds and all that because there's a woman here and she saves like the wildlife, just like the birds and stuff, not all wildlife, but people call her like the bird lady. So you literally she has I don't know if she used to be a veterinarian or like what happened, but she's like, "Oh yeah, my whole house, like I have everything set up to give them like fluids and to like antibiotics and like all this stuff." So because sometimes um like there's this little puncture hole or whatever,
Hmm.
and so she'll like literally wrap it and she'll like contain it whatever. And then she's like if it survives the 2 3 days, right, of like all that, then I just let it go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, awesome. So I've taken many of like little baby birds that I don't know if it fell or from what, I don't know because I don't have any trees in our front yard. But um, and then the last time we did that, she messaged me and was like, it survived. And I was like, that's awesome. But yeah, it's funny because like Shannon and I both really liked Loris Cannon. And she talks about how the people that like are on life support and like all this stuff and the family's like, oh, keep them alive. She's like, they're not meant to, that's them saying they want to go and we're like holding them here. Like she's like, that's not, she's like
So
definitely like not, it's different if like, you know,
yeah.
like, it's worth it, but it's like when it's like that, she's like, that's their time to go. She's like, let them go.
So I've had a couple people in the last year since I've been on this journey, and I would do healings with them from afar. Like it was my friend's brother was one of them, and then my girlfriend's cousin was the other one. So I'd never met either of them. So, I thought in my mind there's like this whole level of permission, but knowing what I know about energy and watching the colors, doing the work, I healed their fear. I watched the colors change. I watched, like, I knew that, like, like I shifted something within them. But what I
Mhm.
did was took that fear away from dying because I still think because of how we're like raised and how, and how we view death, that yes, that may have been their soul's choice. But if there's still a divide between the ego and the soul and the body and the soul at that point, when you actually get into that position that you've chosen, there's
Mhm.
still like a fear and there's a lack of connection. So I've done it twice where I went into like healing mode with like the families and they passed away, but I was like, I didn't feel like the passing away was the outcome, but it was
Mhm.
literally, healing the soul is different than healing the body. So there's a
Mhm.
point where, because somebody asked about it and I was like, this is where like my discernment you know, like, because then they died, and I'm like, well, that's not what, like, I'm like, did I do something wrong, or did I not do my part? Like, you know, like there was like those questions kind of came up within me. And they're like, no, 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 you healed the soul. You know, the body wasn't ready to be, the body was beyond being healed at that point, and they had made their choice to leave. You healed the soul so they could easily like follow their path. And I was like, okay. I'm like, I can live with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, but I'm
Okay.
like, if I killed these people, if I thought I was healing them and then all of a sudden they died, I'm like, I don't understand. You know, like I don't, and then there was like questioning. That's where I found like I started questioning my own gifts, and I was like, I don't like, you know, like was that like just because I didn't have permission, or was, you know, like you know, like I went and I actually like meditated on it for quite some time. But yeah, you're right. It's like when they're in a coma, like when they're at that point in life, that is their choice, like, you know, like because we have the opportunity, and I know this for certain because like when my appendix burst and I was on that table, like they're like, there's a good chance you're not waking up in the morning.
Mm.
And I don't recall, you know, he said that I did leave my body at some point, like they had to bring me back and resuscitate me. They didn't have to like shock me, but they did have to do compressions. um but they're like, you know, you did die on the table, and I'm like, well, that's fun, but you know, I didn't see gates of white or anything like that, like not in my ultimate memory even today after doing like so much healing work and knowing that was like kind of a moment where I hit the dark night of the soul, because again, instead of coming back thinking, oh, I have a purpose and I could be a healer, or, you know, like all of the things that I felt like should have come back with me from dying, you know, instead I went into PTSD and, you know, guilty conscience and like, why did I live when all these other people died? You know, like I didn't, I went the opposite direction, you know, like souls make
Mm-hmm.
mistakes, right? Like, or, you know, our human minds make mistakes, like our souls don't, but our human minds make mistakes and read it wrong. And you know, you're taught not to trust your intuition. You get that self-doubt and all of the things that kind of come up. And I'm just kind of looking at that now because there's like a doubt in the air, and I'm just trying to figure out where it's coming from. It's interesting, but it just
Oh,
flickers
I
every
can
so often.
100% say part of it's probably for me. Ah.
Well, I see, and I did my, because I did the reading for Shannon today,
Uh-huh.
and I did another timeline therapy with her. So we'll see how that one takes, because her reading I don't think went exactly how she expected it to, which was okay. But you know, I hope she comes in to kind of continue a little bit more of the conversation. But she was just going to have something to eat, and she does
Oh, she's
work,
here.
but she said, oh, did she get here?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I'm here. I'm just eating breakfast,
Yay.
listening to you
Oh, okay,
guys.
good. Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Hi.
I was like, hi. I was like, oh, good. Yeah, I didn't see you come in. That's awesome.
Here I am. Yeah, yeah.
There, there we go.
Oh,
I'll just move this over. There we go. Now I can see both of you. That's
Hey.
awesome.
that's so
But
cool.
yeah, so I did my whole reading thing. So I guess my reading screen stayed up because I didn't do the disconnect either. Because I told her, I'm like, you call me day or night. I'm like, I will be up and helping you, you know, get through the next
Mhm.
emotion. Because sometimes when you get through anger, if you don't do sadness, like I was telling her, like my one friend ended up into like this dark depression, but she didn't view it as sadness, because I told her, I was like, be prepared for sadness. Well, depression, you know, like you get told depression isn't sadness. And I'm like, oh
Mm.
girl. But you
I
know,
feel like
we
it's the ultimate sadness, right?
exactly. It is the,
But
I agree with, and I have, and that's what I think that's actually even what I called it. I'm like, that is the ultimate sadness. Like, how could you? She's like, but you know, but like when you get diagnosed with depression, because people who've never experienced depression, everybody experiences sadness, but not everybody experiences depression. So I
yeah,
think that is where that, uh, like there can be limited discernment, like, or in how you view like the two, right? So.
yeah, totally.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I closed my eyes and I was just like, why do I see doubt? I'm like, because I was telling
Hey,
Shannon, I was like, I'm really impressed that, you know, like there's like no self-doubt, there's no like familial doubt, like there's no energy of doubt around you, surrounding you. And I'm like, that's like this is the first reading in months that I've given that hasn't had any doubt. And I just closed my eyes and there's like this flicker going on. I'm like, well, where's the doubt coming from?
it's Amber. We're gonna blame Amber for
And she just said that too.
that.
She's just like, I think
Me
it's
too.
me.
Amber, how are you doing? What's going on with you?
You know, today it's been a lot better. I was like totally in like my human yesterday on the call. I was like this close to not even
Oh,
going, and then Rosan's like, "You should raise your hand,"
oh,
and I was like, "I don't even know what to say," because I feel like everything that I would have asked a question to Yuki for, like I would have already had the answer, but it wasn't like you know how like something, happens, with like let's say your phone or like your car or whatever, and and you're like, "Oh, well, it's this," right? And they're like, "Oh, well, you just got to twist this bolt, you just got to turn this thing." And you're like, "Okay, I'm doing that. Like, do you want to come look because I'm doing that and it's not,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like you're like,
Totally. Right.
what so and I often find that like that I usually do that, but it was like everything like wasn't like it wasn't working. Like it was like I have the
Yeah.
awareness of, and I even would like try to think other thoughts. And I remember Yuki, I don't know, he said somebody else said it, and I don't remember who said it, but he's like, it seems like my thoughts are thinking me. Have you heard him say that? And
Yeah.
I'm like, that hits. Like, that is exactly. It's like my thoughts are like, we're doing this. I don't give a shit what you think. Fuck that manifestation shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm like,
We're doing this.
but I don't want to do that, you know? Um,
You're like all the work I've done. Yeah.
yeah. Because
Mhm.
it's like
It resonates.
it happened so fast. And then also it's like, the contrast is so large, right? Like I
Yeah.
finally figured out my stuff after I did my past life hypnosis, right? And then I was talking with Laura and like I was like I realized some stuff and it was great. And then I had this whole day of like it was just beautiful. Like nothing in the outside affected me. Um
Wow.
I was just the observer. Like it was so beautiful. I'm just like, and I was so excited for the future. Like I saw Rustin coming out of the office in my vision of like he's dancing and he's like, we got the house, right? Like all these things. And it was just amazing.
Mhm.
And I feel like, and I told this to Rustin yesterday, I'm like, there's something with the energy with me during my sleep time, like from the time I go to bed to like the time I wake up. And it's like I can't get rid of the energy. Like I wake up and it's like somebody try to suffocate me. Like I don't know how to explain it because like it's just the left residual of all the energy through my dreams and like through not being able to sleep. That it's like wake up and I try to just have to recover just from that. And it's not my thought.
Wow.
Like cuz I'm like it's not like I sit there and I ruminate over all these things, right? It's usually
Right.
either my dreams and trying to figure out what the hell that means or like the fear of things. I don't know.
So you're staying on the astral plane. So the only reason why I absolutely recognized what you were talking about, because the other morning I woke up and I felt like I was being suffocated. Like I felt like I was fighting to get back into my body, that everything
Mhm.
was heavy. It didn't the dream itself wasn't that bad. I recognized
Yeah,
what the
yeah.
dream was about, but it was literally I was like having a really hard time bringing myself back into my body. So to combat that in the morning, you call your higher self back to you. Because basically, every memory we have, every time we go to the future, every time we dream, we are outside of our bodies. We are living our, like, I want to say in our like in our true form, because we are experiencing outside of our bodies, like we're the information we take back, however our brain processes that for us, dreams. Some people have full remember of their memory of their astral, where they are at night and what they're dreaming about. For me, it presents itself in dreams. For you, I know it's very similar. But picture yourself as a magnet and just act, and call this an activation now. It's like the activate, I'll activate for you now the ability to call yourself back. So just imagine yourself as a magnet. Take in a deep breath, breathing in your higher self, your, highest information, breathing out any residual effects of being in the astral, calling yourself back from present, past, and future, and just allowing the embodiment of your full higher self to come back to you. And that shouldn't take away anything from your dreaming or your recollection of anything that you need to possess. In fact, it should actually help you retain some of it longer, because you're pulling yourself back from everywhere that you're getting that information from.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
Do you think it could also be training right now because you're getting so much into the shamanism stuff? And obviously, dreams are a big portal for you. Do you think this
Mm.
could be that a connection with all that? Like that's what I don't,
Well,
I
yeah,
mean,
she's staying in those realms of
you
being like,
know?
yeah, there's definitely,
Oh,
like, I was told that in a reading the other, not that long ago, that the Actuarian Council takes me and trains me at night.
mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
like on the nights that those happen, it's super blurry. I have a really hard time coming back into my body.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless of like where she's going and the teachings and the trainings, because that's probably what's keeping you out there, your higher self is still
Right.
embodying that information. There's still a point of divide between, in time, like in the book that they call it shedding the human body, where, like all of a sudden I kind of expect this to almost be probably next to like the way everybody kind of experiences it, whether it's that ascension flu that we keep hearing or talking about or experiencing, but massive pain. And just like, and as like the pain kind of flows through, like I know so far that I've shed this part of my human body. I didn't have pain
Wow.
anything lower, um, so it definitely didn't fold out the rest of the way. So I'm expecting that I'm going to end up with another flu type thing come on eventually, where it'll just roll like how he explained it this morning. It felt like somebody was rolling up a carpet within his body, and that it hurt all the way through all of the chakras, right through to his feet, and then his
Oh,
feet burned for like 30 minutes after actually like shedding that out. And then like, and that's and basically this is for sorcery, like this is kind of a book about like how sorcerers view the world. It's Carlos Castaneda, The Tales of Don Juan. And
mm-hmm.
it was published as nonfiction when it was first published, and then they turned it to fiction because they thought they didn't want people to believe in anything that's happening. But everything that he's talked about in the book is everything that I've experienced in Jen's class, with Yuki, within myself,
Wow.
in just different words.
Yeah,
And
I
just
feel
Wow.
like every yeah,
yeah.
I feel like that is with everybody. It's wild. I was just listening to Bashar. I know you like Bashar, Shannon, and
I love
before, and it was interesting because, and it's mostly just right, like people ask questions and he answers them. That's the
Yeah.
majority of the
Yeah.
videos. This woman actually asks about, she does the Dolores Cannon past life hypnosis, and she was
Yeah.
asking him questions about it, and I was like, this is
Mm-hmm.
wild, right? Like the two.
I've seen
Uh,
that one. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
have you? It was
Mm-hmm.
pretty wild. I was like, gosh. I need to go back and listen to it again because I wasn't paying too much attention. I just
Mm-hmm.
caught that and I was like, what? Plus, I
Yeah.
was listening to her yesterday. Um, it like she talks about when when we sleep, because she's like the body is the only thing that needs sleep and food and water and like all that stuff, and that like that we go on adventures and like we go learn and we do all this stuff while we're asleep. So she's like the times where people wake up and they're like quote paralyzed, it's just because they just woke up too fast and it hasn't kind of integrated, kind of like what you're talking about, Laura.
Mhm.
And she's like, people go to the doctor and they're like, what's wrong with me? And they can't find anything wrong. Right. 'Cause she's like, it'll go
Right.
away. She's like, just be, but, but it's really wild that you said that about the shamanism because so they do something that's called, they go on a journey, right? And it's like kind of like a form of meditation, but it's like with, you set an intention and you kind of go into the different worlds and you meet like, you can meet
Wow.
a spirit animal, a spirit guide, an ancestor, like whatever, and you go to like your sacred space, whether it's like a garden or whatever, and so you can ask questions, right? And I hadn't been doing this, like I had like for probably months I hadn't been doing it, and I didn't really know why, but then my dreams have been more vivid. And I do a book club, where we
Right.
read a book about shamanism and then we like discuss it and we do a journey at the end. And her and I were talking because she does like, she actually, I think she actually helps guide people through death, and she'll go to like Egypt and like do all the, what does she call it? I can't think of what she calls it. Um, like not channeling, that's not what she called, but the energies of all the spirits and everything that are there, right? Really, really cool. But anyway, she was talking about how journeying, sometimes we don't do it like where we sit down and we actually, she's like, sometimes we do it while we're dreaming. And I'm like, oh, then I've been doing it this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but because I just kept thinking, well, I'm not sitting down and doing this, but I guess I had been doing it because my dreams are like more vivid. And then I'm having like you know, because psychic stuff, mediumship, that all coincides with like shamanism. And people are like, oh, I don't know anything about
Mm-hmm.
shamanism. Like, well, it's a lot of that, right? Like you're kind of harnessing the powers of your ancestors, of your spirit guides. You're helping. spirits, your, the universe, all these things, right? And so, but like one of the
Ooh.
clairs, like I'll wake up randomly with like a song stuck in my head, and I'm like, now we all know if we heard a song yesterday, it's gonna, you know, stuck in our head. But like this, like these songs I haven't heard in I don't even know how long. And then I'll have to look up the lyrics and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But the dreams are like really, really vivid every single night. Like every single night. Um, and I have to like right when I wake up, I have a book right next to my bed. I'm like, I have to get it down. Um, and then sort through kind of like what that means, you know. But yeah, it's just been really interesting. But today, like I'm on a much like higher energy. I just, you get stuck in that pattern and it like, you think you have it kind of figured out and then something will, and it
And
like,
then
I
you
mean, it is
don't.
like, it is instant. Like I had made a payment plan with our car because at one point they sent us a letter that like, you're in, about to be repossessed or whatever. And I'm like, well, shit, if we're gonna be homeless, like at least I have to have the car to sleep in or something, whatever. And Rustin's like, why would you even think like that? And I'm like, I'm just throwing it out there, right? And so I had made a payment plan with them. And so I told like just to kind of, help with that. And then yesterday I was like, oh, what are they gonna take out for that tomorrow today? And he's like, well, we don't have that. And so I it was like immediate, like in my body,
Oh,
like right, like this whole thing. And then he started freaking out for like a half
oh,
second.
wow.
And
Wow.
I was like, okay, I was like, I know where my fear was coming from. I was like, where was your fear coming from? And he's like, well, yeah, he's like, it caught me up for a second. And we figured it out and like, okay. But as soon as that happened, it got me spiraling to like, we've been living this way like for like a year. And,
Right.
prior when, I've been homeless and he's been homeless and stuff like that, but it's like we
Right.
weren't aware. So it was just like stuff was just happening.
Right.
And I even got to that moment yesterday where I was like, I kind of almost feel like I could go back to when I wasn't aware because I didn't. He's like, well, you still had fear. And I'm like, I know, but I wasn't aware of it. So who cares? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that feeling of like, but now I'm aware of all the things. So this sucks. I'm
Yeah.
like, this literally feels worse than before. Because I was just living my
Right.
life feeling like I had no control over it. And now I feel like I have control over it, but yet I don't. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
The
Like I know
contrast
that.
between,
Then I'm like,
yeah,
but then I'm like, well, how do I
Yeah.
create what I
Just
want?
the
Because this is not
contrast.
what I want. I was like,
Right.
there's not very many aspects of my life right now that I actually would love to see. But
Right.
I'm like, how do we get there? And this was just happening, and then I was aware of it. But then I'm like, okay, and and I was listening to my stuff. I usually do my chanting in the morning, and I did that, and then like I did my qigong, and
Yeah.
I tried to be like, I listened to some Abraham Hicks. I did some of her rampages, stuff like that. But it was like, it just
Yeah.
wasn't. It was And then I'm like, man, I was like, I'm tired of this. Like, I'm literally tired of this. And I was
Yeah.
like, how do we get out of that kind of thing? Um,
Right.
but like that
the
suffocating feeling,
the
which I get
releasing
it's
the
all
how. Yeah, it's
it is.
releasing the how, but it's the contrast, and this is like kind of what Yuki talks about, where it's like you come into that moment of desperation where you're finally done, because and this is something that continued to kind of creeps up on me, and is like where you're at today is the um lowest or the least amount you're willing to put up with. She says it better than that though. Um, it's like your spot in your life. This is the lowest amount you're willing to accept in your life. Like this is like but that it only comes once you realize that you're like, this isn't what I want. And
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to go through those emotions of this is the least you're willing to accept, and now it's time for something more. And then having that trust, letting go of the hows, letting go of the end result. And then I'm torn between the expectation and the non-expectation, because I keep getting like both sides of that, where it's like have expectations of the universe that it's going to provide, like give it exactly what you want and expect nothing left, give it times, give it dates, and then truly believe. And I've done that and nothing's come of it, and I'm just like, okay, well, I missed something.
Yeah.
So I'm still torn between like the expectations and releasing expectations. But I think again, it's like we view time in a certain way, whereas the universe has a different view of time. And um, yeah. So you know, like I'm still like that's part of the one that I'm like I can see my future. I can see everything coming. I know my clients are coming. I know I'm building up everything that I want to build. I have people that just rave about all the help that I've given them, and that you know, like I don't have to talk about myself. I have other people spreading the word about me, which is amazing. And I'm here for when they're ready. And that's the other thing, allowing them to be ready, because there's so many people. They're like, oh, I got like 5 people about to call you, and I'm like, I'm ready. Are they ready? They're not ready, right?
Right.
So you know, like there's still that a little bit of a delay, and I've put it out there for this month. I'm like, I'm ready. I'm ready for the clients. I'm ready for the money. I'm ready. And then I feel like little shifts of embodiment and seeing different things and the universe acknowledging it. And uh, I was talking about TikTok. I do a daily or a weekly card pull, which I forgot to post on Facebook last night. Damn it! But that's okay. I'll do it. But anyways, it was basically as you're going through TikTok and Facebook, and if your feed becomes anything like mine, where I end up with all the tarot readers and all the people giving messages from the universe, pay attention to those. Pay attention to what they're telling you. Pay attention to um, how it sounds, if it resonates with you, or if bits and pieces of it resonates with you. And if it doesn't, if that message continues to pop up from different people, because this is what started happening to me, not people that I followed, but the messages would pop up and they'd be word for word, almost like almost identical. And even Brandon was like, your feeds are boring. It's different people saying the exact same thing to you. Like, how many times do you need the message before you're going to embody it? And I'm like, thank you. Okay. And then I embody it and I believe it. And then the next message. And some of them, a lot of them say, well, it's just this one thing. And I'm like, well, I've come to learn that it's never just this one thing. It might be that one thing for somebody, but you know, but but then it turns out it's just that one thing that's going to take you to that next level, that next step, and that, you know, and then it'll be the next one thing that's for you. Right. But yeah, my messages have started changing now. It's not the same. And like, I mean, for weeks, it was like the same message from different people. And now they're changing, and that's how I know that I've shifted. And I mean, and I think the universe knows that. It's like I can recognize now, like sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but the messages are different now. And because of that, it makes it a lot easier because they're shifting faster. They're like every few days now they're different, versus like it was weeks of the same message, like weeks of weeks, like January to freaking March almost was the same message.
Yeah.
You know, whereas now it's like every couple weeks. So I feel like I'm in flow better and things are starting to move faster because I've accepted that first message that apparently I was just dejecting for whatever reason. But
Mm.
yeah, so pay attention to those little things, like little things that that seem insignificant. But I mean, if you're getting told the same thing over and over and over, even if it's from people you don't follow, people you don't know, readings that you're not actually asking for, because I wasn't asking for readings, they just all of a sudden started popping up everywhere. And I'm like, what? I don't even know what caused
Yeah.
this to come up all over my feed,
Yeah.
other than the
How do
fact
you,
that I'm a reader myself.
right? How do you feel right now, Amber?
I definitely feel a lot better. Like I woke up and I started to switch it up because like usually because I've had to like figure out my flow with like doing Yuki stuff, you know, and then like now
Mhm.
Jan's doing it, but we haven't had a meeting together with all of us because I don't know what that looks like. And
Yeah.
because even that, and I talked to you little bit about that, Shannon, like with the whole like I felt like every person, like I had to like somehow convert or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and this
Yeah.
is
Yeah. Totally.
subconsciously, of course. So then I'm like, I
Yeah.
have to have this magic potion where like it's gonna come through the
You
school board
do.
message and they're gonna be like,
You do.
oh, please join, let me join, sign me up, right? And obviously
Yep.
this was under the surface. I had no awareness of this, but like that's how I felt. And then when people like wouldn't respond or they'd be like, okay, cool, thanks. Or like, nope, haven't watched anything or like whatever, then it would be like a whole like what's wrong with you? Like or kind of, you know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I used to like wake up and I would do all of my stuff and I would sit and I'd do like all these things until like noon and then I'd start doing stuff. Well,
Yeah.
people that are like in other time zones, like their day's already gone. They're in bed, you know, like yawn, for instance, right? Because they're so far ahead in Italia and stuff. And I was like,
Right.
so this morning, I'm like, I'm going to switch it up. So I did do my Qigong, but it was like 10 minutes. And then I kind of like dived right in. I got into the zone and then and then I like started doing this rampage kind of like of my own, not of Abraham Hicks, but like just repeating stuff to
Good.
me. Like everybody that I what did I say? Everybody that I come in contact with is enlightened. Like I'm a healer, I'm this, I'm that, like right, like all these
Yes.
different to
Yes.
kind of just raise that vibration. And I've also had to learn to let it go. Like whatever's meant to be is meant to be. Like, he's not trying to have all 8 billion people on the planet be in his program, right? Like it's the
We
people that
can.
are gonna resonate with him that are
Yeah.
gonna, so I have to like keep remembering
Right.
these things because it's and it's just paying attention to the 3D. Like you said, I'm usually like I don't look at the how. Like I literally put it past me, like the landlord, like all these things. And then, like I said, that one thing when I'm like, "Hey, it's gonna be drafted tomorrow for a car," and he's like, "We don't have it," and I'm like, and it is like instant. So I don't really
Right.
look at the how anymore because if I were focused on that, I would be in a loony bin. But like
Right.
Yeah, me too.
I,
Yeah. Same.
it's more of like the concept of how long it's been, if that makes sense, because we do all these things, right? And then like we switched up the business stuff like so much,
Right.
right? We
Right.
revamped
Right. Right.
that.
Right.
And we're still even doing it now. Like we're redoing our whole
Yeah.
Instagram. We're veering away from TikTok for the most part. Don't
Yeah.
do much, right? Like we've revamped all this. And then every now and again I'll go, we're in the same effing spot. Like nothing is right. Do you know what I mean? Like instead not with
Right.
ourselves, but
Not
just
inside. Yeah.
financially, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, financially and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'm
Yeah.
like, no, no,
Yeah.
no, don't look at that. Don't look at that. You know what I mean? And
Oh,
then
right.
do, and then it's like, when is it,
How do you
it, 'cause
not?
I see these signs
Yeah.
all the time, like all the time. Like literally we go get groceries and it's like 333. We get gas and it's like $33 and
Right.
30. And I'm like, you can't even make that up, right? Things like that.
Right.
Um, I told you, I think Laura about the balance for a landlord,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like you can't even make that up. We don't pay her in cents. Like how would that even, you know what I
Ah.
mean? But it's like,
Right. The universe is showing you. Trust me.
but then I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, after so much time, I'm like,
Right.
but when? Like,
Yeah.
can we get an
Right. Yeah.
ETA on this?
Yeah.
Like,
And then
Yeah.
like
it's
it's
interesting because
just,
we had even talked about like how time is different, like spirit time. Like, and I was actually
yeah.
going to say like I feel like because time doesn't like time is completely different in the spirit realm to what we've
Mm-hmm.
created as man. So like for them, like the next day, like when we step in, because the present moment is the only moment. So if you
Mm-hmm.
live in that energy of the present moment being the only moment, to them it's like, it's just counting on your like embodiment of knowing that, and your remembrance. It's a memory, it's a remembering. It's not remembering what you're capable of, remembering who you are, remembering your gifts, remembering yourself. And when that memory becomes whole, then you collapse human time and everything happens in real time. So I don't know where that came from because I don't think I've ever said that before. So we'll take that and like let that one sink in because I think that's a realization that's just hitting me. Um,
I was just gonna say it's 111 here, so
oh,
Yeah.
is
It's
11:11 here.
there you
Yeah.
go. Wow, double. I love it.
That's awesome. Like, how often does that happen? Well, I guess it happens once a day, but not while we're talking. So
Twice a day.
twice a day, yeah, I
Uh,
guess night and day.
Oh yeah,
Wait,
that's
can you
right.
remember what you just said? Oh, when you like
That
remembrance. Go ahead. Yeah.
it's all about remembering. It's remembering you. It's remembering like who you are. It's remembering what you can do, where you came from, and remembering that time is literally man-made, that as you come into full
Right.
remembrance of everything that you are and that you're capable of and able to do, and that what you're like, when that full remembrance hits you, that's when time will collapse, and that's when
Hmm.
everything will start to manifest in real time.
Hmm. Wow.
It's not about necessarily manifesting or even maybe alignment is the wrong word, because it is alignment, because you're aligning yourself to step into that memory, but it's literally remembering who you are, because once you
Yeah.
fully remember that and believe and know who you are and know what you can do, and that doubt, that last lingering doubt, that last little bit of ego is shoved aside because we still need our ego to think for us. Like there's still like purpose for the ego. It's never completely gone. But once you
Yeah.
remember who you are, that's when everything starts to truly change.
That's really amazing. And you are recording, so we can always go back and watch this again to
Yes.
remember exactly the first time you said it. But I really
Yeah.
like that. And I find myself like I know these concepts, and I'm on school and I'm commenting the same, not the same, like what you just said
Yep.
was very powerful. I just mean like, the same verb, it kind of like what Yuki says. And everybody I listen to, essentially, they all say the same thing. But then I find myself throughout the day where the brain is trying to rationalize. And Bashar just said this on his thing. He's like, because she's like, well, I have one more question about this. And he's like, I just answered it twice. And
Mhm.
he's like, because what's happening is the brain is trying to rationalize what I said.
Right.
And
Right.
it does. So I find myself, I'll be like, we're all one. And then I'm like, but that person over there is an a-hole. Or like, my kid is whatever. My husband's this, because I find myself, the brain is trying to rationalize what it means. And then
Right.
that's what happened to me yesterday. I'm like, the whole like we create our lives. I'm like, I get it on a spiritual level. And then the brain's coming in and going, well, surely I didn't create the situation I'm in right now. Like, so what does that mean,
Right.
right? Because I can't affect other people,
You can
right? Like I can't
actually,
just,
but you can. There,
yeah,
and that's the most interesting part about this, and this is what I've noticed the most. I think that maybe makes this maybe makes the rational part of my brain a little bit quieter on this was um I've been practicing this a little bit, like go into conversations differently. So this is kind of what we were talking about earlier, like the judgment. If you're placing judgment, if you're like, I didn't create this, instead of looking at it, like, why did I create this?
yeah.
Mm.
Why?
No, I mean,
What
I
can
know
I
I
see?
did. I
Yeah,
just
but what?
meant,
Yeah, but no, I know, but that's just it. Like, why would I create such a crappy situation, right? Like,
yeah, yeah,
that's the initial reaction, right? So that's where your awareness can
Right.
shift and say, okay, you're right. Why did I create this for myself?
Right.
And
Right.
instead of looking at it like, well, I wouldn't have done this,
Good question.
it's like, but I did do this. So why
Right.
did I do this?
Right.
And
mm-hmm,
then stepping it into like beyond that of affecting others. They say our prayer field. Okay, so um, say you're telling somebody that they're beautiful or whatever, but you know that we'll just put it really random. They're 500 pounds. Like they have like all this stuff going on, health things, whatever, and you're being polite, essentially. But in the back of your mind, you have all of the negative thoughts that may have
Mhm.
come up, and they might not even be like derogatory or like mean in fashion. Your truth, honestly, they always say honesty hurts the most, right? So you're being honest at the back of your mind, but there's a judgment in that. And that can be like, for me, my weight up until now has always been up and down.
Oh.
And so there'd be a judgment. I think that's maybe somewhere, like I still feel like I'm struggling with my weight a little bit, so there's like that piece. It's funny that Tom's like fitness and I'm struggling, you know and it's not like my weight is high or anything like that. It's just like just getting into the fitness and getting back into that, and then my shoulder doing its thing. Like I've literally, like, my body's
Right.
been an asshole. So so that's maybe like why I'm in this kind of frame of mind,
Same.
just for anybody watching this is like, I'm not like picking on fat people, okay? But like you have that judgment at the back of your head. If you've told that person that they're beautiful, they're not hearing that. They're hearing that prayer field. They're hearing the behind the scenes. They're actually hearing, because we are all of one. Our telepathic community, like why somebody texts you when you think about them, why all of a
yeah,
sudden your phone will ring when somebody's crossed your mind, or you'll bump into them at the grocery store. That is us being of one. There is still freedom of will.
Mm.
There is still freedom of choice. There is still the things that stop, like, I can't walk into a room and instantly be like, everybody sit.
yeah,
and have the crowd sit down. But on the other level of that, if I walked in and been like, this crowd is assholes, guess what's going to happen? I'm going to be in a
Mhm.
crowd of assholes. I'm going to have people,
yeah,
bump into me and, like whatever. The driving, and this is the biggest one that I've been practicing, because drivers, I always get into traffic called, these people are idiots, and then all of a sudden we almost get T-boned. I almost got hit by a truck the other day. I don't even think I told anybody about this. I legit was like, he brushed my knee. He didn't start his truck and he pushed in his clutch, and I was taking the step behind him, and like literally like there was a wall that stopped me because I was right beside Brandon, and then all of a sudden he was on the other side of this truck, and it like brushed my pants. And like, and he didn't know, he started his truck like halfway beside me and then looked at me, and I was like, you don't even know how close you came to just like wrecking my life.
Wow.
And I mean, no judgment, no animosity. I literally, I trusted my instincts to stay back
God.
because I was just like we were like Brandon was here and like I was here, and he went behind the truck and something just told me to stop, and I stopped, and he almost hit Brandon on one side and me on the other side. Like he legit split the D. So yeah, it's like, things like that. So it's recognizing that you can change your your conversations with people in your head. If you're thinking that your husband's going to come home and it's going to be horrible and you're going to fight,
Oh,
he's going to feel that, you're going to step into that, and you're going to fight.
yeah. You take a
Um,
piece.
so yeah, if you can just change that, and that's the realization that like you can't maybe change people's lives, you can't change that 3D world of theirs, but you can change their interaction with you. You can change your world and how it operates around you. And I've gone so far as friends that I never ever thought would be clean and sober are clean and sober today. And that's me being like millions of miles away and just wishing the best for them. And all of a sudden I get a text saying, "Hey, I've been clean for 30 days. I've been, and stuff like that." And like, and for no, and they're still immersed in the 3D. Like they're still there in that world. Whereas like I was out of service for a year and a half, and moved a province over, and legit like took myself completely out of that life. So and that's where, if your ego is still telling you that you can't control those things, that's another belief shift that to
Mhm.
step forward into, and to work on. So reframing that each time it comes up for you will really start to actually give your brain the proof that it needs. And that
Yeah.
was the biggest thing for me, was giving my brain the proof that it needed.
Yeah,
And then
and I
guns,
wholeheartedly believe in all of this stuff, right? Like obviously, right? I just in that moment I'm like, I don't see
you don't
because I
see
can
it.
look in the past and be like, oh man, this happened because of this. This happened because of you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the mindset that I was in, I could totally see that. But sometimes now I'm like, I don't see it, right? Not to say that it's not, but I'm like, I don't see because I've changed so much. I'm like, I don't see how,
Mhm.
because
And
we
that's
are
where
healing,
the
we are like, right, all these things, and we have revamped our business and like all this stuff, and then it's like, it starts that questions of like maybe we're just meant to go
Right.
get jobs like 9 to 5s and like
Right. Right.
because we have done all of these things.
Yeah.
and that's
I
the
know he gets
human,
like that sometimes too.
and that's the human, and that's
Yeah.
honestly the ego playing its role. And
Yeah.
and like, and I hadn't seen how much I had stepped forward until I had my human moment on last Monday, uh,
Yeah.
and stepped out of that in a few hours. So the human moments are those moments that are built in contrast to show you, especially if you start questioning. And that's the thing, if you start questioning because things aren't looking the way, that's when my ego always presents itself. As soon as I'm like, well, the 3D world is this way. So,
Mhm.
like maybe I should go back to get the 9 to 5 job. Maybe I, should give up on this dream because it's just, it worked for somebody else. It's not going to work for me. That's a favorite one that keeps popping up. It's like, it works,
Oh yeah.
you're helping it work for everybody else, but it's never going to work for you. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
100%.
yeah, so reframing it, allowing those human moments, and just be like, oh, this is the contrast I asked for yesterday. I didn't believe that I've changed, or something didn't look like it shifted enough, or whatever the case. Like, I don't even know what I said on the Sunday to make my ego decide to. I was working with my sister actually, and that's a big one for me, because she's like, I still feel obligated to take care of her, and I do, and I always will. Like, I mean, but I have to do it from like a different standpoint, not that like I have to feel her pain, and I have to be everything and like physically attached to that or emotionally attached to that. Like legit, like what I'm doing is helping her as well. So, it's realizing that she's still in pain in her life and she's got a lot going on. I'm
Mhm.
not. Jesus, Murphy, we got horseflies, and I don't know if you see me do this when I muted. I had a big ass bumblebee that I was praying wasn't going to go in my house, and then there was a wasp, and I'm like, no, not yet, please. I got bit
Oh
twice
gosh.
last year, and I was like, no, not ready for that. But but yeah, something just hit my hand again. But yeah,
Oh
so
my
you
God.
get wrapped up in this. So watch for those contrasts because again, those are big. Like when Yuki talks about awareness, and I think my cat just scared
Yeah.
something. But those levels of awareness, that's really like when I've sat in those levels of awareness, especially this most recent one. That's where the messages on my TikTok really change. That's where things have really started to move a lot faster and allowing the flow. But then and then I took a manifestation course and there's a fear that pops up. So as things start to move faster and you start to see that change, there's a next level of subconscious fear that starts to hit us that like sometimes we might not even feel it, but we'll actually counter manifest because we'll be right on the edge of that thing, that growth, that great breakthrough, and that fear will pop up like I'm not ready.
Yeah.
And
Oh
like
yeah.
what happened, like, or and especially if it's never somewhere that you've never been in life before yet, there's a I don't think I can do this moment. And
Yeah.
in that moment, you counter manifest to slow it down again. So it's still just on the edge. And I got so sick of
Yeah.
hearing the card. And that was the one reading that I got sick of hearing. It's on the edge. You're almost there. You've done it. Like you're there. It's just you're on the edge. Hold the card. You're
Yeah.
on the edge. I'm like, get me off this fucking edge. And
Yeah.
like and then like before I jump, and then I'm like, oh, maybe I'm supposed to jump. But I'm like, I don't know how I'm supposed to jump. But it changed my intention. I'm like, I'm ready to jump off the edge. Like, what
Mm,
do I do to jump off the edge? And so that's
Yeah.
been my question, like, how do I jump off the edge? And then everything kind of
Mm.
shifted again. And I got a reading tomorrow and a whole bunch of
Yay.
things, my chiropractor today, which will, help shift my energy, cut the hair off, like just honestly.
Yeah.
And that's like, and setting that intention because it doesn't have to be anything big to jump off that edge. And I just, and that just went ding, ding, ding. It doesn't have to be anything big to jump off the edge. And this is Neville Goddard. Make that anchor point. Say, like it can be as little as I'm putting my sock on today, and that's my duty for today. This is what's going to step me. This is what's going to jump me off the edge. This is what's stepping me into what I've been building into the highest
Yeah.
timeline. I'm putting on my sock today. That anchors it in. But you have to believe it. You can't just create an anchor that and be like, well, I'm saying this is my anchor, but there's no energy behind it because you don't believe that that could be the anchor. So there's
mm,
that feeling, that true belief, and and again, I think that's part of like what kind of hit me earlier about that remembrance. It's once you truly remember, then every step you take is the next step. You don't have
mm.
to take huge action steps, especially as you've created and everything is in place. Every step you take is the next step.
Yeah.
I love that. Sorry, I'm not crazy. I know I keep looking up. I'm outside too, and there's literally I could feel the shadows. There's like 3 or 4 vultures that are like flying
Oh
up
wow.
above, not like directly above me, but they are pretty much. Um, yeah,
Damn.
that's pretty cool. I don't know if you guys ever looked at the spiritual meaning of vultures, but it's
Recently.
I've totally changed my view on them because well, you think of vultures as like, oh, they were just eating like dead carcasses, but they're actually cleansing because they don't kill anything. They just eat what's already there and dead. And anyways, it's really cool. I can send you the there's this one website I use when I did some shaman healings with this woman, and she sent me what this website. You can look up all different animals from birds, mammals, fishes, like
Oh
all kinds.
yeah.
It's
Amazing.
really cool, and
Yeah.
they not only tell you the meaning, but like in different like if like Celtic, you know,
Hmm.
culture, or like Asian culture, or like Native American tradition, right? Like all those
Sweet.
types. So it's really cool. But yeah, I feel like it's a cleansing, um, right? Because they're just there to clean, and so I don't. It's pretty powerful. Anyways, um, how are you, Shannon?
Um, I'm all right. I was crabby before I talked to Laura today. I was yelling at Kurt. I was like, I don't understand. Like, I'm just like so fucking. I'm like, I don't understand how we're all walking around here like everything's okay when everything's not okay. I was like, people are just getting taken out of their houses, and then I just started like going off about politics and this fucking moron. And I was like, I was just so mad. And then I equated a lot to my family, of course, because they just spew his shit. And so I think I'm just like kind of spiraling because, my mom's supposed to do my dad's funeral on Father's Day. And I decided I'm not going to go
Mm.
home for that. I got to stop saying home. That's not my home. I'm not going to go to Detroit for that. And so I
Yeah.
think it's really affecting me. Like, I don't have the guilt that I've had throughout my life. If I don't, like, I always show up for them, but like, I don't have guilt if I don't go. But um, but now I kind of do about my mom. My mom might be a little sad. It's just I don't want to go to prison because I will beat my sister's ass when I see her for telling people that I relapsed. Like I'm not okay with her. Like she threatened me. She talked shit about me on Facebook, and then she fucking is now telling people I relapsed. Like we're not okay. So I have a lot of anger towards her. So there's a lot of that. And then obviously the restaurant stuff. It's just like I'm so grateful for the job, obviously. But then Laura was telling me earlier um that it was like the universe was kind of presenting me this to me and to see if I was going to take it. And she's like, you weren't supposed to take it. But it's like, once again, if I didn't take it, none of my bills would be paid right now. So
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know.
But is that but that's a belief or is that truth? Because I see what you do.
Well,
You
it's
have a beautiful
truth.
gift. You have a beautiful
Yeah.
Yeah.
gift. You have you have like the yeah, it was your trust fall. And like I said, it wasn't that you were supposed to. It was like it was like there was that split moment where like that was your trust fall, to believe in yourself and to believe in your gifts, and that you were going to move forward in sharing them online and be able to make the money that you needed to make with them, because it's all there for you when you're ready. But you taking it, it wasn't a should have or shouldn't have. It was literally, okay, well, you took it. But now the contrast that you see with the pain in your knee, the
Yeah.
people that you're seeing there that you thought you were going to see the first time you went into the
Right.
restaurant business,
Right.
that is the contrast being given to you to pull you back into that trust of yourself and trust of what you're building for yourself outside of the restaurant.
And I do believe that. And I do believe, like I was saying to Laura this morning, Amber, that like my good friend Hisano, who's in plant medicine with me, and she's one of my best friends here. We're always together. She's like, well, the universe is showing you the contrast. They're showing what you don't want. Like, this is not meant for you anymore. And I totally agree. Um, and it's amazing. Like now I have, we have scheduled in my building the next two classes we're gonna do for the sound bath energy healing. So we have one in like 2 weeks, and then we have one on June 14th. So we have that, and then my friend Cindy, who's doing it with me, she does sound baths at the studio in Marina Del Rey, and the owner saw our flyer and was like, "Why aren't you doing this here?" So we're gonna get together and put up a package for the owner so that we can do it there. And then like Yuki giving me this opportunity, which is huge, which is really like yesterday when he called me because we were gonna talk because I only had like $100 left to pay for his program.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I was like, oh, I'll just sign up for phase two and just pay him, $250 a month from going forward. And then he's like, but and so he's like, I will do trade with you. I will give you half off if do you want to do a class with me like every other week. And I was like, oh my God, yes. Like, I love that. I love being under pressure. I love like being like, I thrive in under pressure. um, I'm really good at that. And so it's like, this is great to have one every other week. This will expand like what I know and like what I can teach and like what I can teach you guys. And so I know it's all happening. And it's just like, and then I also told her, Amber, that like, the restaurant asked me if I would start as a captain. I'm the oldest server there. I'm 40 fucking 7. The staff is so young. Like they're like all like 27, 28, which I love, right? It's great. But the owner is like, I want you to, and I mean, I've been lead captain of 2 Michelin star restaurants for, you know what I mean? Like my pedigree is up here. These kids barely know how
Mhm.
to move a restaurant. They don't even understand the wine we have. Like, I'm just always like, oh my God, like this is wild. I haven't worked with a crew like this, but I also was like that at one point. I
Yeah.
also didn't know. So I'm never like a dick about it. Cause I was like, I hate when people are douchebags about when people don't know things. It's like, you didn't fucking know this at one point either. You learned this too.
Yeah.
But in saying all that, the owner asked me if I would be a captain's assistant to start. He's like, we don't have any captain's assistant or positions. He's like, but in 2 weeks I'll make you one. And I was like, yeah, of course, whatever. And now they're not. And like they hired someone from the outside. And then last week they pulled this other girl up. And I'm like, are you fucking like, I was like, this is banana. Like, I don't, I don't vibrate at this shit. Like, I am fucking like, I'm running circles around these kids that are making twice as much as me. And I'm like, I can't afford to live off of a fucking captain assistant's. Like, my rent is 2,000 alone by myself. Like, what the fuck? So
Yeah.
That's been really frustrating, but it's like I also know that obviously the universe is like, I'm not going to make you comfortable here. You're not going to be comfortable here. Why?
Yeah.
Because they were
Yeah.
even talking to me about being a SOM because I have my level 1 of being a SOM, and I was studying to be my level 2, but that's when my alcoholism got really bad, and then I was like still going to do it, and then ayahuasca was like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, stop this!" And so I stopped it, stopped studying so intensely, but the manager the other day was asking me to be a som, and it's like something before I would have been like, yes, I will study this wine list, whatever, and it's like, no, I want to study what I have to perform for Yuki's class. I want to study what I'm going to be performing in my building. I want to
Yeah.
study what we're going to, you know what I mean? And so it's like, no, so the universe is showing me it's like not going to make me comfortable in this. It's like this is to help me just pay my bills and whatever. And also it's honestly, I have to say, as much as pain as I can get in, it's so lovely to run around a restaurant for 8 hours a night. I fucking love it. I love it. I love taking care of people. I love talking about wine. I love talking about food. I love making people have a good time. I love that. And honestly, because I gained like 30 pounds, which I'm still my body's just very slender, but I gained 30 pounds from the last 52 weeks of not running around a restaurant. So it's Kurt's like, oh my God, you've lost like 20 pounds, which is amazing, right? So this is all very great. This is all
Yeah.
lovely. But like,
Yeah.
but and so like I was saying, and Kurt yesterday was like, maybe things aren't as bad as you're making them right now. And I think the overall thing is I was pissed off last week that they hired someone from the outside and then like all these other things, and they're lying to me and about it because they wanted to keep me. But so that really pissed me off because it's my ego in a way, but it's also, but it's not. It's like I know my worth. I have
Yeah.
put a lot of studying and time into my career, and I know a lot of, you know what I mean. Like there's a lot of knowledge inside of me that I paid for wine and for food and for like all this stuff, and um, so it's like I was pissed off about that. But I don't know. Now with this like whole Yuki thing, it's like I understand that I'm expanding. So I don't know. And I think just like obviously my family stuff is real, as you know, Amber, I get really into it. And so it's like it really makes me
Mhm.
sad. And so I think I mean, my sister is like my best friend. We talk every day. You know what I mean? It's hard to lose that. It's really hard to lose
Yeah.
that. But she's a terrible, horrible human being at this point. So it's like so
She
I don't
won't
know. I
stay there
guess
for long. She won't stay there for long. And that's like, and that's your healing. And as you break through some of the patterns that are presenting to you as well, that's going to
yeah,
transmute. And and she will,
it
there'll
already
come a point.
has.
And I can't say that like it's going to be fast, that the apologies will come and whatever, but yeah, they will be there. And I mean, and your dad's going to have like some, part in that as well, his spirit. So
I believe it. And
but
I
you
felt since he's passed, I mean, since he's passed, we've been really, really close. Like I feel him all the time. I always know that he's around me. I know that we're tight. I know that he's like, oh, it's made me cry. But I just know that he's helping me on this journey, like big time. I know that he like feels like he didn't show up for me as a dad at all in my life, like except for an asshole and bring me more strife. And it's like I know that he's like I know he has guilt for that, and or not. I don't know if you could feel guilt as a spirit, but I know that like he is really trying to help me now, and I feel that big
yeah,
time.
and yeah, and he couldn't show up. He didn't show up as a human. Like I
Right.
said, that's why he doesn't think he'll come back as a human, because he's done multiple lifetimes as a human.
Yeah.
Like I feel
Yeah.
like he was like a 6 or 7, maybe even an 8, in like coming into as a human, and he wasn't. And every time he come back with powerful hopes and powerful dreams and powerful thoughts that he
Yeah.
was going to break the cycle. And in passing, he sees that you're the one that's breaking the cycle, and that's why
Yeah.
he's like surrounding you, because like you said, he
Mhm.
can't, he'll say, well, that's what I was trying to be, and I can't believe that came from me with how horrible I was generally, like,
Yep.
what keeps ringing up in my head. So
Right. And I think like for any of us that are the person in the family that it breaks the cycles, it can be very lonely, because it's like you're
lonely and
like I said,
heavy.
my dad in the 3D would be like, you're too sensitive, you're too like you care too much, like you're wrong, like you don't know, you're crazy, like he always said, the country is tilted and all the nuts and fruits roll to California, and you were one of them, like, and it's just like, I mean, they're always, and to this day my family still calls me too
Oh my
sensitive or whatever, and
God.
it's just like but now he sees me. Like I said, when he came through in that reading that I had after he died, he was just like, she's so nice. Oh my God, she's so nice. I cannot believe how kind she is. She always kept saying kind. She's so kind. Cause it's just like, I would always like be like, how do they not fucking see that? How do they not see that? Like, I'm like so fucking lovely. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand. Like, how could you not see it? But they were just blinded by their
I'm
own
a fucking ray of
anger.
sunshine. How are they gonna
Exactly.
not
Yeah,
see that?
motherfuckers. Yeah. I'm here to help you bitches. Like, what are you doing? Like,
Yep.
but it's just like, I think like being on this path too can sometimes be very lonely because it's just like, as we know, a lot of times people don't get us because we're fucking, we're
Mhm.
They're not
wacko.
ready. Yeah, they're not
Right.
ready to see through the 3D. And the 3D, I mean, has been made such a solid fixture to us that when like and that we
Right.
again the book that I'm reading, they call it the assemblage point. Like by 7 years old, there's an assemblage point. And then the world, be up until 7, there's like if you're born into a family that is kind of, more spiritual and stuff like that, there's a chance that you might keep that assemblage point moving where you work into your gifts and you end up like, embracing being psychic and embracing those things that can come for you, that are absolutely at everybody's disposal. However, if you've chosen to come into a family that doesn't believe any of that, and like that was part of your goal was to, break some heavy cycles and to go so much further, that assemblage point gets stuck in like that one spot where the 3D is the 3D, and we don't know what happens when we die, and anything that
Right.
is beyond explainable by science is, in our heads, and we're crazy, and and that gets shoved down our throats so hard that, when
Yeah.
we finally come to a point where it's like, well, I can't explain this, but however, like it's
Mhm.
real and I'm not crazy.
Right.
And then you
Right.
kind of get to that point, and then you start to work through, and then you start to trust the universe, and then your teachers and the people that you need get thrown in front of you, and then it's time, and then that's as you're, spiritually progress, like Yuki talks about. He's had multiple different mentors in places where he's felt called to go back to. And like I think I was telling Amber the other day, like I think I was even possibly talking about it this morning, was like I had kind of put Jen's stuff aside and was
Yeah.
like really like involved in Yuki's world, because Jen doesn't like run the same as he does, kind of thing. She's similar,
Right.
very similar in nature, but like I don't get her lives anymore. I just get her recordings and stuff because I didn't pay to stay in her circle, kind of thing.
Sure.
And and that's fine. Like we all have our
Yeah.
things and how we run our business, right? But not having that, like I felt called to, and whatever brought me to Yuki. Like you asked me how I found it. I don't fucking know. It
Right.
was just there, and somebody said join this, and I said okay, and away I went, right? And so it's like uh and I like the way he hosts his classes and does that, and that's generally like I'm probably going to mimic something like that as I get, more people congregated, which I got Tressa
Totally.
for because she's good at
Yeah.
congregating people and so on. So and but that's growth, and that's growth I didn't even see. Like that's like new information that kind of just continues to go as and then that's what I realized, like, and then the other day when I was on Yuki's call and I was like talking about being ready, I'm like, was I ready for what I was asking for? And had it, and then it would come through in spurts, and I'd panic and I'd pull back. And that's like that counter manifesting, because you can, some people are like, can I slow this down? And like Chris Duncan would be like, no, you can't. And then I took this manifesting course. It's like, yes, you can, because your ego is always present. You can always call on your ego to slow things down. You may do it
Mhm.
subconsciously, but the longer like you're in the world where you're manifesting at like light speeds and everything is coming so fast, it becomes an intention set to call forth the ego to, sorry, I got a bumblebee deciding that I'm a flower even though I'm wearing all black.
Mhm.
I'm not a flower. Please. I
Mhm.
like bees. Like, let's be friends. Um, like I'm wearing all black, so this doesn't happen yet. This bee is still like crawling in my grill. I'm like, please don't. I'm not scared of bees. More like the wasps are just angry little creatures, and they're like taking chunks out of you. Bees not so
Yeah.
much because they don't
Wasps
like to
are
die.
different.
Yeah, wasps
Yeah.
are very mean. Um, and
Bees
then I
mean
lost my train of thought.
expect miracles.
Expect
Yeah. Bees
miracles.
are
I love
good.
it. Bees are
Yeah.
amazing, and we're so up high in the forest that we don't even see a lot of bees a lot of times. So, wasps, on the other hand, they were so bad last year, and I was like, what did I do to
Mm.
deserve to get wasps?
Right.
Like, send me the bees.
Did I send it to you? Because bees actually are not even designed to fly.
Really?
They're not even meant to fly, but because I'll have to send it to you guys. Where that? Because I found it because there was one that was like hovering outside our door, and I swear it looked like it was like an inch from the glass, and it was just like standing. I mean, it's in the air, but like it wasn't moving. Like in the air, it was just, and I'm like, hello. And I tried to get a video of it, and it left, but it was wild. And then I looked it up, and sure enough, like they're not meant to fly. Let me see if I
That's
can.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty. It was pretty
Wow.
wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ugh, I can't wait to see the chiropractor. I don't even know. I know I know I keep catching
Oh,
myself like pulling back my shoulders. Oh my goodness.
yeah. Thank God you're going. Jeez.
Yeah. I
Oh
couldn't
my God.
believe
I
it
just
when,
realized the time. I gotta go.
yeah.
Oh my God. I just realized the time. I gotta get ready for work. All right, guys.
All
Thank
right.
you so much for this. This has been so good. I love you guys.
Awesome.
I'll talk to you
Love you
Thank
soon.
too.
I'll
you.
see you
Bye.
soon. All right. Bye, guys. Have a good time.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
What time are you going, Laura?
Right away soon, actually. She probably picked good timing to get off the call. But is there anything that you want to talk more about today that sitting heavy with you? You feeling good?
No, we're good. We're good.